It's blackberry season, and in our garden, against our garden shed, we have a blackberry bush. The berries are looking delicious right now, so in between the summer rains that we're having, I thought it's time to pick them. Our blackberry season starts mid-July and ends somewhere in August. It's only a month or so, but we get a lot of fruits from this bush during that time. And I always try to make use of them the best way I can. The people who lived here before us planted this bush in the garden, and I'm very thankful that they did. Thanks to them, we live in a blackberry abundance right now, and we get to make all sorts of delicious things with them. We use the berries in our salads, our morning yogurts, and at one point I even tried coloring some cotton with it, but that didn't quite yet get the result that I wanted. But by far the most popular thing we make is our blackberry jam. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that this is probably the best blackberry jam that I ever tasted. And that is also according to our friends and family. When I asked around this year who was interested in our jam, there was more interest than berries to make them. I mean, my brother wanted 5 jars. 5 jars. And I don't think he's even such a jam person. So I'm weighing the berries that I picked last week, which I do every other day or so. And here I have 1250 grams, which is enough to fill about 5 jars of 30 milliliters. So as you probably know, to make jam you'll need quite a bit of sugar. And our blackberries are a bit sour, so they can handle that. But I also like them to keep a bit of their tardiness. I mean, the tart taste that they already have. So I'm using a special gelatin sugar here, where the ratio of sugar to gelatin is a bit lower, so it doesn't get too sweet. And to make the jam taste fresh, I squeeze out a quarter of a lime here, although it looks more like half of a lime, I think. Anyway, you can also skip this step if you don't like it, but for me it just really adds to the taste. Also, I will add all these ingredients to the description of this video, so you will hopefully be able to make this on your own at home. Now, to make sure that your jam stays nice and preserved for years to come, that is if you don't open the jar in between, and if you open a jar you should just eat the jam, it's too delicious anyway. Okay, I'm a bit on setting mode right now. Anyway, I digress. What I wanted to say is that it's important to sterilize your jars first to make sure no bacteria are living there before you fill the jars with jam. So real quick, you can sterilize the jars by using the oven or cooking them in boiling water. So while that's happening in the background, I'm pureeing the blackberries, sugar and the lime. I'm not cooking them yet because I first want to get the jars ready after I sterilize them. The jars have been sitting in the oven for 15 minutes at a degree of 150 Celsius, so that's 150. And the jars have been cooking also for 15 minutes on high, so they've just been boiling and been baiting around in there. And now it's time to take them out. So now that that's all ready, I'm ready to cook the berries. And it's very important when you're cooking them to keep stirring it to prevent them from, burning on the bottom of the pan. And they don't need that much cooking time. They need about 3 to 5 minutes. I usually do 5 just to be sure. The most important thing is that you stick around while you're cooking the berries. And then it's time to fill the jars with the delicious homemade blackberry jam. And while I'm editing this, my mouth is just watering again. And you know, I'm not really a jam person myself, but this one really tastes so good to me. And if you get a chance to try it, I think you should. And also let me know if you agree with me and if you don't. I'm curious, I'd like to hear your thoughts. One other thing you see me doing here is that I turn around the jars before I place them down on my kitchen counter, and that is because I want to create a vacuum, and that is important to make sure that the jam stays well preserved. Now I have more jam left, but I cannot fill a whole jar with it. So what I usually do is I keep it in my fridge, and every time we have a little bit left over like this, I put it in a jar, I let it cool, and then I just add it to the jar that we already have sitting in the fridge. So though we keep some of the jam ourselves, most of it is going to family and friends. I like to add a little card, and on it I write down the date on which I filled the jars. And with that, a new batch of our delicious blackberry jam is made and ready to be enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to make this jam yourself, check out the description box for the recipe.